have to tell people about kind of how I met you. I think this was the second time I'd ever seen you in life. We were at a little place called Doghouse here in Nashville during COVID. We were watching college football. The place was packed. So we go to your brother's house. And then a little weird thing happened where your brother got arrested in his own home or right outside of his own home for having more than 8 people in his own freaking home.
Yeah, it was, that was one of a small handful of things that made us move from Nashville out to Williamson County, because it just was the most bizarre thing I'd ever been a part of. But it was that night, yeah, we were all out at Doghouse. There was probably 200 people there. And it was when we had curfews at the bars, and everybody had to go home at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock or whatever it was then. And so we were like, well, let's go back to the house, and it was just a small handful of us that were sitting together already. And AJ, my brother, and his wife, Andy Jo, had just got their house. So they're like, oh, let's do it at our house this time. It's always at your house. All right, cool. And that was a time, if you remember, where they were like starting to... they were like incentivizing neighbors to like rat out their neighbors. It is the weirdest thing. They used to do that in California with sprinklers. Like they would be like, if your sprinklers are on at your neighbor's house, call us and we'll give you $100 or whatever it was. But and that's what happens. One of his neighbors, there was probably 6 of us inside and maybe another 6 outside on the deck.
Indoor, outdoor.
Yeah.
It was outside with a fire pit. It's a big house. We're not talking like we're in like a little trap house.
Right.
Okay, we're in a big house.
Right.
And the neighbors, by the way, obviously had Biden signs in their yard. Obviously not smart to start with, but they did. They called, and it was such a weird assortment of people. It's almost like it was out of a sitcom. So you got you and your brother. I'm there. Clay Travis is there. Michael Ray is there. Gavin DeGraw is there. And that was the weirdest part of the night. When the police came, we all went outside because we couldn't believe what was happening. Like, how could this possibly be? Like, we did nothing. There's no drugs here. There is no loud music.
Yeah.
It was simply because there were more than 8 people, and our illustrious mayor, John Chicken Cooper, put out that decree that you couldn't have more than 8 people in your own home. So the police show up, and we thought this was a freaking joke.
I was ready for him to start stripping and singing songs and stuff, because it was that surreal and that ridiculous. But the other thing too is it was post Thanksgiving, kind of before Christmas, in that little area, and I think everybody, including some of the cops, thought that was just a temporary like thing for Thanksgiving. Like, hey, we don't want you to have 30 people for dinner. Like, we're in a pandemic. Blah blah blah. Even still, a lot of people were like, hey man, it's my house. I'll have my family over if I want.
Yeah, no kidding.
But it was super surreal. So, anyways, he was arrested technically. They didn't take him in, but it was a misdemeanor, and he had to go to court, and he had to do community service, and he had to hire a lawyer, and the whole deal. And it was pretty bizarre.
Reminding people, this is because he had more than 8 people in his own home. This is for nothing else beyond that. And we went outside. I mean, I'm a big supporter of law enforcement, so I thought, listen, this mayor, he's already been going around harassing all the bar owners in town, the mask police, all this. I thought, these officers, they don't want to be doing this. They're sent by the mayor.
Right.
They have to do their job. And then we spoke to the officers, and they're like, oh no, they wanted to be there. I don't know if they were incentivized by it, but then it gets even weirder because we had to shut all the shades. We find out that they were actually in the backyard trying to record over the fence. They let themselves in the back fence to record us having more than 8 people.
Yeah, it was the backyard thing was definitely like, whoa, guys, that's a little crazy. But yeah, they had pictures and videos, and it was so harmless and silly, and just what do you do? The craziest part of that time was our house was right down the street, if you remember, and my truck kept getting stolen and broken into. I'm literally 5 times, and in front of my house, and I had him on video and the whole thing, and the cops would show up, and literally there's nothing we can do.